I think we lost James there for a second.
What happened?
We lost James for a second, but we are live. Um, so yeah, we'll let people pile in here for a second and hopefully get James back. I don't know what happened. We literally lost him as we went live. But anyways, welcome to everyone who is here for our post-game show, post-game reaction, whatever you want to call it. Um, it is the Money Down and Believe in Badgers together. Bernie, Soj, James will be back here in a second, and myself on the stream just to talk about the game and to uh, see what's up there. Because again, another consistently inconsistent performance from the Badgers. Said no better than by James here. But I guess I will kick it over to my partner in crime, Bernie, first. I guess where do you want to start today? Because we usually do the good, the bad, the ugly when we do. So I figure might as well try to do a little bit of that here. So what was good from today?
What was good is we were talking about this before, but first off, we won, right? It's hard to win on any level, especially in football. We're winners. I'm excited about that. We were just talking with Soj about the glimpse. Like maybe we saw a little what the RPO, the run pass option could look like. We scored on it. We had some deep balls. We had some explosive plays, 15, 20 yards plus. Those things make me happy. The kind of the inconsistent, the sloppiness scares me. We didn't control the line of scrimmage. There's a lot we could talk about. I have some questions for James. I thought Ches played well. I like to see the young dudes in at the end. It's kind of nice to see those guys get some reps. But I would say, dude, just winning is enough for me today. I was scared pretty much the whole game, and we shouldn't have that happen against South Dakota.
It's tough. It's tough for sure. But you definitely like to come out of those games with a victory versus a loss. It's much easier to make corrections when you won the football game than you lose. It's hard to win. I feel like in college football, there's a lot more parity than ever before. Like you can really roll the dice on a lot of these football games, so you really can't take a lot of these teams for granted. The thing, I know I missed some of the game because I was traveling today, but the thing that disappointed me the most was the line of scrimmage. That was the hardest thing for me to watch on the defense side of the ball. And at one point, their running back was averaging like 10 yards a pop. Not to take any thing away from South Dakota and all them, but that shouldn't happen. When they're playing a Big Ten school, like he may get over 100 yards, should be like maybe 4 or 5 yards of pop tops. It should be at any point him averaging 10 yards a carry. On the offensive line, I feel like sometimes we got dominating the passing game. They'll rush three, get a sack like that. That's the type of thing that shouldn't happen when we're going up, against quote unquote an inferior opponent. So you just really have to chase that consistency. I know Matt quoted it before. When you start to see that inconsistency consistently, it becomes a problem, especially when you're going up against teams, that you may have more talent, And next week, we obviously know we're going up against a great challenge, great challenge, a great opportunity, as I would say. And actually, I know a lot of people, based on what we've seen so far, it's worrisome, going up against an opponent like that. But you got to have a great week of practice. You better come out ready to go because those dudes, they're not messing around, man. You know what I'm saying? So they're in a dogfight right now though against South Florida.
Yeah.
So that goes to show, just it's not just us. They go through some similar type things, but they gotta have a great week of prep, man. Just really count on those little things. Just gotta be better at that because you can't come out flat foot against those guys. It'll be down 21-0 real quick, and that's not right now. We can't say we can come back from down
Yeah.
7-10 points. You know what I mean? So you gotta come correct.
And you said it perfectly. Like with Bama being in a dogfight now, I feel like that is a positive that I can take from these first 2 weeks. Is when we are in these dogfight situations, we have that, I guess, experience this year with this group, so that people don't on the team don't get uncomfortable. Because James, both Matts, like we've been in games where soon as you get down, you can see it. Everybody start looking around and getting worried, and we're trying to see like, all right, who's gonna make the play, X, Y, and Z. So they've been in those type of situations here in these first 2 games. I think now when we start to move, where we are going to start facing, better opponents and better teams, if we get in some of those games where it's real tight, guys will continue to play, loose and be able to make plays. James hit on it perfect, man. It's kind of disappointing for, both sides of the ball, the line of scrimmage, offensive line and defensive line. Here it is where we have, that's something that I feel like has always been the pride of Wisconsin, right? Those trenches on the defensive line and the offensive line. And, for those guys to be able to, one, get pressure, sometimes rushing 3-4, that's kind of concerning. And then on the other side of the ball, having, having their backs, just be able to, having that's it. So yeah, having their backs be able to, pretty much run, like James said, picking up 10 yards, at some point is a carry is very concerning, man. I just think we gotta get back to, our roots, man, of figuring out, what made us so dominant. I know it's a new regime. I know it's a lot of things being changed, but I think sometimes you got to keep the main thing. And for us, the Wisconsin Badgers, it's been that O-line and D-line being superior.
Can I ask you guys a question? First off, I love that we started fast, right? We scored first and third possessions, I'm pretty sure. The third one I love the most, that run pass option, was sexy to me. I'm not gonna lie, as an offensive dude, I loved it. At that point, the game ended for the Badgers. Like, that is concerning to me. Dude, Alabama's gonna play until the fifth quarter. They might go out with the band. So, like, and all the Big Ten teams, the Big Ten's gonna be a fist fight. It's gonna be a brawl until someone's knocked out cold, and they might still kick you while you're down. So to me, that was concerning. Outside of that, like, what did you guys see? James, I want to ask you, because I love our backs. I think they're great. I think we have a plethora of them. But I saw some things that I was like a little nervous about. And I didn't know if you were watching that in depth about Ches and Yakimelli, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on their progression and what you saw.
I thought they played okay. Even Yakimelli came in there. He made some plays, made some good runs. I'd say it's not very consistent. It was solid, in the first half, and I feel like in the second half, like almost the entire offense just seemed kind of lackadaisical, and that especially in the passing game. I know you're talking about the run game. In the passing game, it's just there's no timing. Like, nothing is on time. Even when I know we hit like the RPO stuff early in the game, but when it's just like regular drop back situation, it's never get to the top of your drop and the ball's out. It's kind of like look. Like, oh, okay, maybe I get outside the pocket and find somebody. When you're playing teams like this, you feel like we'd be able to scheme them up. You have a few guys running wide open every now and then, especially in the second half. You're really supposed to be in a rhythm. But I think that starts with the running game too, though. If guys are able to run the football consistently, make plays in there, I feel like those receivers, I think they need that at this point. They've struggled the last 2 years, aside from a guy like Will Pauling, to really consistently get open, catch the football. I think you really got to lean into the run game. The backs got to take more onus, whether that's creating your own yards. When you have one-on-one situations, not getting tackled. I would love to see more of that. I'd love to see the young backs get in there at the end, because I've been waiting to see what those guys can do. Dupree, some of these other guys that we've seen them on tape of what they potentially could do. Give them some reps on the back end of the game. Maybe we could use them at some point, especially a guy like Dupree. Watching his high school tape, he's catching the ball out of the backfield, doing all these things that you would do in an air raid type of offense. So find a role for him. Give him 3-4 plays in the middle of the game. See what he can do. Whether it's running routes, hand it to him, shovel pass, something simple. But get him in the mix, just to mix some of these guys in there, allow them to make plays. To me, that's what we're missing. I sit in the group chat. We have a little group chat for our podcast for the Money Down. Jeremiah Smith I know he's number one player and all that from Ohio State. They're playing the same team. We just played last week, Western Michigan. I do a little spot route to him. He takes it 70 yards. Like, nothing fancy. Like, nothing fancy drawn up or anything like that, but that's just a guy making a play when he gets the ball in his hands. I'm not gonna say none of the guys on the roster can't do that, but we haven't seen that. So far this year we haven't seen that much. Last year either. So to me, these guys, I know Longo, I think he does have to be better calling plays and putting guys in a position to succeed. But some of these guys, when you touch that rock, man, go make something happen. It ain't mean like being Superman or nothing, but look, take onus of that thing. Make a play, get a first down, celebrate that junk. Go back to the huddle, tell everybody, let's get it going, let's keep it moving. So I just want to see some more energy, some more enthusiasm. Like, look, all this space and all that. See that?
And
I mean, he different though. I will say that he's
Sure.
special. Yeah, kid.
What's frustrating though, James, just seeing this is like the concepts though that it's so basic. Like when you see other teams like Ohio State, Texas, all the Alabama last week, like I promise you, they're not hitting people with crazy route concepts and all this stuff. It is simple stuff. So
Yeah.
that's what's concerning to me is like, why does it feel like us as the Badgers on from the creativity, part of it and getting guys open? Because that's what it seems like. I don't know if it's starting to like hit me to the point where it's like, do we not have the players? But I'm like, nah, like Will Peep, he could get open. You know what I'm saying? Like we seen today, like we got guys that can get down the field, regardless of if a defense makes a mistake, which I feel like on the first touchdown that you showed, Matt, like I don't think teams down the road, the better teams, are gonna make mistakes like that where guys are just running scot-free open. Now you do have some times where defenses might, blow a coverage, but it gets a lot more tighter once you start facing, these Big Ten teams. But I just don't see. I don't know if it's the play calling, man. Because I look at that play with Jeremiah Smith. It's literally a spot concept. Run
Yeah.
on the field. It's the same team we played last week. Run up, run a curl, catch the ball, take it 60. And I know we have got Will Pauling can do that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Even if he don't score, Will can catch a spot route or a dig route and turn up the field. So I just don't. I don't know if teams maybe don't even fear us. Like maybe that might be the case where you look at it. You look at a team, with Jeremiah Smith, taking that pass for 60, 70 yards. Guys are off and they're like, man, I just don't want to get beat deep. But when they play us, maybe it's like, you know what, like man, hell, like they got to show me that they can do that. And I think that's the spot that we're in right now. People don't fear us.
Well, so Jordan, I have to ask this question. Sorry, that now that my phone falls down, you made this actually. It's what was this going to my head as a defensive person. When you look at Ohio State and you look at what was going on, could you say that sometimes you're like, dude, we got to stop the run. Like we're leaning into that 60%, 70%. Do you think that teams are like, we can be balanced against the Badgers? Like we can do 50-50 and we're not scared of them like running the ball or passing the ball.
Listen,
And,
1,000, and I don't mean to cut you off.
no, please cut me off.
But 1,000%. I know, like even from back in I'm not in the locker room now with the Badger team that we have, but just even from my times playing, like knowing guys that we've played against, or once I did spend a little bit of time in the league just talking to people, that's what people feared of us. You had James White, you had Melvin Gordon. They could crack it for 60 at any point. So people feared our run game. It's to the point now people aren't fearing that. And our pass game, I won't say has not ever been feared, because we had guys like Jared Abbrederis and guys that could get open and make plays. Hold on, mama. We have guys that could get open. Come on. All right, get that a kiss. All right, come on, lay down. Sorry. We had guys that could get open and and could make plays in the pass game. But when the main, like I said, the main thing that's been what people feared of us, when that's kind of lacking, now I'm gonna play it honest now. Like I'm really playing, to my keys. I don't fear a guy beating me deep. I don't fear a guy, taking it 70 yards off, what I'm saying, a missed assignment and being able to take it a distance. So I think, man, we in a storm right now, and what I'm saying, we got to figure out how we're gonna get out of it.
Is that an identity thing? Is it a Badger identity, like a defensive and offensive identity, or is it we're not comfortable with the schemes yet?
I think it's an identity thing. I know, and they're trying to shift the identity some right now. So I think that's why guys could be playing a little bit more passive. Maybe they're not confident in what they're doing just yet. So I feel like that can be a factor. When you're confident in what you're doing, you can attack. Right now, I feel like we're not attacking. It's just like, okay, we made a play, and it's still I really don't see much enthusiasm from the team out there, man. Even when the guys do make plays, like I want guys to have like that attacking mentality. You know what I'm saying? Especially early on in the year, man. It's your first two games out the gate. You should have plenty of juice. I don't really see it. You know what I'm saying? I think we have good football players. I like Coach Fickle. I like what they're trying to do. I just feel like the guy just gotta come with a little bit more, especially like next week. You gotta come out there, fire, use the crowd. You know it's gonna be an early start. Get into it and like start off fast, man. I can't like overemphasize that enough. When you playing these good football teams, you gotta throw that first punch because they gonna throw a ton of punches at you. I can guarantee that. Like I said, especially now that they're in a dogfight currently, they're gonna get into that meeting room. They're gonna be talking about the same stuff we're talking about right now. Like we can't go out next week on the road at Wisconsin, BSing early on. They got you better believe they're gonna come correct. You know what I mean? So, I'm excited to watch and see how these guys, go out there and perform. I know a lot of us are like we don't know really what to expect, and we don't. You know what I'm saying? Based on what we've seen, but hey, they can shock us. It's college football. You never know what may happen on any given Saturday. You never know, who's gonna show up and who's not gonna show up. So I'm still excited, man. I'm excited for the opportunity. I know we've played these guys in the past and it didn't turn out, well, but they have some change going on just like us. So we can see what happens.
Yeah, and it's a couple of things, James. You said, I want us to get back to that authentic, celebrating with your team. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to say it feels forced right now, but when a guy does make a play, it's like I don't get that yeah, them boys get, you know what I'm saying? Them
That
boys,
togetherness. I don't see that togetherness
togetherness,
out here.
like they can feed off of that. And then also, man, we got to get back, baby. Come on, you got to chill. Pop on work. We got to get back to using that Badger crowd. Like so much of college football is, the crowd being in tune and being able to feed off that energy. And I just think right now, 2 games in, the crowd has been there, but I don't think we get that. I don't think right now we have that whole you know what I'm saying, just that aura of us, being able to be in tune in the game and with the crowd.
Do you think that though, so just a product of expectations for these two first games versus what I would imagine Alabama next week is going to be, even if it is a big 11 a.m. kickoff, that it's going to be rocking next
Yeah,
week,
I
and I think it will be. I do hear what you're saying. We had a comment from Instagram said game day energy just like wasn't what they expected, and like I still don't think they have all of the logistics worked out for getting students into the student section. It's getting better. It's getting better, but it's still not like it's going to be a test next week. And I think it's going to be a test on everyone to show up early, to like show up really early, and with the logistics of having like the Fox pregame show in town as well. It's going to be interesting to see from a crowd perspective because like obviously like I haven't been down in the field, but you guys have been on the field and felt the crowd at Camp Randall. Like how much do you think that you can get enough of a home field advantage next week from what we'll see in the stadium?
They got to incentivize these kids somehow to get them out there early. Everybody like free stuff. Yeah, they're going to have to do something to get them out. Because even with Alabama coming to town, I can guarantee they're not going to. I don't think they're gonna fill it up right away at 11 a.m. I highly doubt that. They enjoy their pregame and all that, rightfully so. They got beer in the stadium. I'm sure it's pretty expensive though, so I'm sure they're still gonna like turn up before they get there. But if they can get there right when the game starts, man, I feel like that's gonna help the players out a ton. Play into it, use the crowd, pump them up, get as loud as possible, try and challenge their communication. Because if you can't use the crowd on your own home field, man, then what's the point, man? Like I said, you got one of the best teams in all of college football over the last, 20 years or so, man. Like they should show up, be excited for this matchup just as much as the players. It's a great opportunity, man. So if the students can get in there early, be loud, and chant all game long, I feel like they can help bring some life to the players. I think that'd be huge for them.
And what are the chances? What are the chances? I mean, never in a million years, even when my time when I was like, when would you ever think that Bama would be coming to Madison, man? Like as a fan base, as fans, you gotta, you know what I'm saying? That's being able to have them come in and be able to, play that team in Camp Randall, like that should be enough for the true Badger fans and true college football fans. That should be enough to get people into the stadium. I'm excited though. Like, although, you know what I'm saying, it's kind of been like, for a lot of fans and even for some of us, like, man, we don't know what the hell gonna happen, when week 3 comes around. I'm just excited for, the fact for us, these group of men to be able to play, a type of team like Alabama, and then also be able to like kind of gauge where you're at, because this is a team last year that was in the college football playoffs, right? Like obviously they lost some guys, just like every year teams lose people, but you facing a quarterback like Jalen Miro, who's been in the playoffs, who's been in those tough type of situations. Now you can kind of gauge and see like, all right, are we really, really far off, as much as, people think we are, or do we have a shot?
I think we have a couple things that go in our favor, although you got to think Alabama has played in hostile environments. But we need to, as you guys were saying, James, especially, like, we need to make it hostile. We need to make it outrageous. We need to badger all the fans, even the old people down to like the little kids, screaming their heads off, going bananas, making it a nightmare for Alabama the whole game, because that's how we win, dude. Everyone is important in that stadium. I also want to ask, I've never went backwards in time, right? Like, so we would always go to the East Coast, Penn State, what we played West Virginia and some other places.
Yeah.
This is an early game. This is 11 a.m. in Madison. So if you think it's noon, right, you're on the East Coast, you're getting up an hour earlier now. Does that have an effect? I'm hoping Alabama starts slow, and we do. But I'm just throwing it out there. I think all these things matter a little bit, right? You get half an hour left sleep, might piss you off. I don't know. Yeah. And I didn't do it. So, James, you guys tell me what it feels like to maybe possibly do that.
It played like a small factor. I mean, Bill would bring it up in our meetings, like when we play like down in Tennessee or something, and the game's at 12 o'clock versus a 1 o'clock game. You got to wake up at 7 a.m. versus 8 a.m. It's a little bit of a difference. I mean, it affects everybody differently. I'm not exactly sure how much it'll affect Alabama, but yeah, some guys struggle to get going early on those 11 a.m. games. Some guys like the night games. I think it's just player by player. But yeah, I'd definitely much rather have an 11 a.m. than a night game. I think catch them, sleepwalking in there, try to knock them in the mouth, early on, throw that first punch. I think that's what we just need to do, man. Play with some aggression. That first and foremost.
I see somebody in the comments said Alabama is Central Time, so I don't.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, well, then that's completely doesn't matter then.
Yeah. But I can tell you, I think from just like my point of view of it is like, man, I wanted those earlier games. I like those earlier starts, because that for me is like I was always somebody that I kind of get a little antsy, waiting too long. So it just felt like it was was easier and quicker to get to that kickoff time. So I don't think it's gonna affect them. Finding out that they're on Central Time, they're on Central Time too. But I see somebody else also say, the game sold out, so it should be a crazy environment. I'm happy for Bama to be coming in town, and man, I hope we actually put together a good game, because I look at even the game last year against with Ohio State, when Ohio State came in, like I kind of felt like, especially at the time, I think O State might have been ranked like 2 or 3. And it was just like, it was just like, damn, like, how are we going to actually play? And that was a very competitive game for a very long time. So I think, with, a team like, Bama coming in that's in the top 5, I think that's going to shoot some of the juice in the guys. And man, you got to bring that energy, because you do not want to get blown out. Like we choked around maybe like 2 weeks ago. I've been on the end of the stick of, having 50, we said 50, they damn near dropped 60 on us, because it was 59, I think. Like having that 60 ball hung on your head, like that's not a good feeling. You don't never want to feel that and be in that type of space. So it's one of them games, bro. You come out slow, it'll be 21-0, quick. And right now we haven't shown the offense to be able to get back into those games right away. So man, we better be the ones bringing the juice, I feel like.
Well, I was gonna say they're gonna be without Jake Chaney for the first half after that targeting. And you talk about bringing the juice. He's one of, if not the vocal leader on defense. He's also, as the Broncos would say, he's the green dot. He's got the heads of communication. So I'm interested to see how they respond to that. I thought that Tackett Curtis looked pretty good in his in substituting for Chaney, but I think that is sort of one of the things that I would worry about a little bit, being without a starter and a key piece, at least in the first half.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. I mean, he's a good football player. He can run, sideline and sideline and all. Especially you mentioned your vocal leader. whoever that is that steps in for him, definitely gonna have to come ready to play early. They're gonna attack you 100%. They gonna see that on the scout report. Could you pop up Orion's comment again about yeah? I says like they want to compete on the national level. You need to have a multifaceted offense. It's hard to get players to come to UW if the receivers and QB we don't have and the history of developing those players. Have O line running. Yeah, that's a fact, man. But like I said, there's teams that ain't got no history of having nothing, and
Yeah.
they find they figure out a way to get players to come to their school. So, I mean, I think Fickle has a pretty good track record as far as what he did at Cincinnati, coaching at Ohio State. He has a good track record as far as that, as far as to lure some recruits into it. I feel like he still has that type of it factor. But yeah, it is easier when you have had some success at the receiver in the QB position. So that will definitely help if at some point this season the offense can find a way to catch his rhythm, create some explosive plays, play consistent. That can help lure some guys to the school. So I think that's an interesting comment. I think that's something that we've talked about, kind of quite a few times. Yeah, if you can show proof of success, I think that helps out a ton for recruits or transfers, however it may be.
And y'all know that's been that's because just seeing that comment, like that's what I've been trying to hit onto a T in the most. And I just feel like even if you look at a lot of the teams in the Big Ten that we used to be able to consider as, I don't want to say bottom of the barrel teams, Rutgers is playing good ball right now. I don't know if Illinois was able to pull out that, the game against Kansas that they were in, but Illinois is playing good ball. I'm trying to think. Nebraska's playing, and I'm not saying these teams.
Illinois won 23-17.
And that they just beat a ranked opponent. You get what I'm saying?
A good Kansas team.
A good Kansas team. So the teams that and those guys are getting those players. I saw the comment and it was like, they don't have. I don't think Rutgers has a history of Rutgers couldn't throw the ball last year at all. You know what I'm saying? But they're playing better team ball. I think we have to get into a rhythm and figure out some type of way to get our receivers more in tune into the game. And like we've been having these conversations for the last couple of weeks, whether it's play calling and creativity, or guys got to dig deep and figure out a way to to make those one-on-one plays or to get open, whatever it is. We're in that spot right now where we got to figure it out rather sooner than later, because it's going to affect us in the recruiting process, right? Like if you're, it's hard to go into a kid's living room and say, as a receiver or whatever the case is, and say, we're going to try to get you to, that 1,000-yard mark, or, whatever it is that is considered, successful in college football. And we haven't been doing it. So it's going to be tougher, but we got to figure out.
What I'm looking forward, and I hope happens, is that these guys just let it loose, have fun, but the energy. The first quarter was great energy, even though it was still sloppy play. I love the energy. You guys look like you were having a good time doing it, and then second, third, fourth quarter didn't look like that. And football is all about emotion. It's all about excitement and enjoying it. I mean, listen, most of football, as we all know, sucks. Like practice, working out, more practice, film. Literally, this stuff is difficult. And you get game days. And that is the only reason you do all this stuff. And we've all been successful around ranked opponents coming to Madison early in the year or any point in the year. So I'm excited for these guys. I'm just nervous because it feels like the culture has shifted, not just a little bit, a lot of bit. And, Barry would say, dude, we can beat Ohio State. We do it every year. Yeah. Just by him saying that, I believed it. I don't even know if it was true, and I just believed it. So imagine, it's hard now for a new coach to have that longevity to say, hey, we're successful against ranked opponents, because he's only been here for 2 years. So nothing against Fickle at all. It's just more of I think our culture needs to somehow get back into that groove of, we're going to punch you in the mouth and consistently do it and enjoy every second of doing it.
Yeah, I feel like we've become a little bit more finesse over the last 2 years versus being a physical football team. That's really what our imprint was. When we were there, it's about physicality. We may not necessarily been the fastest team or move sideline, sideline. We had guys who could do it, but our MO was playing physical, being tough, and playing a 4 quarter football game. That's like we were. I never got blown out at all when I went to Wisconsin. We never got blown out. We may have lost some games, but most of them were either 7 point, 10 point games, something like that. We were always in it, and I think for us it's about that physical mindset, and I think that always gave us an edge or gave us an opportunity to win football games. So if they can find a way, I mean, you can play physical from an air raid offense, you can play physical from a 4-2 defense. I think it's all about the mentality that from the coaching staff to the players, and you just got to consistently do it every single play. And next week they're gonna have to bring that because Alabama's going to be physical. They run a spread offense, but they're physical. They're physical up front. They're physical on defense. You ain't gonna hit them if you're not gonna hit them in the mouth. They gonna hit you in your mouth. So you better figure it out. But yeah, it's a great opportunity, for these guys. I hope they feel like they belong on that field and they step out there on Saturday. Don't get big eyed because you're gonna see some big jokers. You know what I mean? Dudes gonna be walking up the sideline. Cock diesel, all that. They gonna look the part. You know what I'm saying? But you gotta go out there and handle business. Don't really matter what they've done in the past. Doesn't matter about any of that. It just matters what you do 11 a.m. on that Saturday, and it's a tremendous opportunity. Like we all know, like you play well against a team like Alabama. As a program, it's great, and individually as a player, it's great for you too to have some good tape, against those guys. So everybody just want to step their game up, and it's a measuring stick game, and we have quite a few of those this year, which is good. You know what I mean, and all this transition, everybody's trying to kind of wonder, how good are we actually? We're gonna find out this year. I will say that with these Alabama games, Penn State, USC, Oregon. We're gonna go toe to toe with these guys, and you ain't gonna have a choice. You either shut up, put up, or shut up. That's what they say, right? So I'm excited for these guys to have these opportunities because it's not like what it once was. Where you can be in the West and kind of hide under the bush or sneak your way into the Big Ten championship. That's no longer. You know what I mean? You gotta go out there and play ball.
James, can I ask you a question? Because I know you said Bama has moved to the spread offense. Do you think there's any? Because I can't think of any. Just on my head right now. Do you think there's any teams that still run pro style as far as their base, their identity, that run a pro style offense that is successful as far as balance, being able to throw it? Like I think of a Michigan right?
Last year, yeah.
Like which was last year. Obviously, I know that it's a lot going on, and they're they got to figure whatever they got to figure out there. But I just look at a Michigan as of last year who was their identity. They were still in a pro style offense, but they were able to move the ball. They were able to run and pass. I feel like that has to be us. Maybe
That's also because they had Coach Herb, like
Oh, yeah.
like that the physicality of that team was on such another level. Like they were so much stronger than everyone they played, and I don't feel like Wisconsin has that. Like I don't.
Trenches too.
Yeah.
That's they wanted them trenches, D line, O line. That's what gave them their advantage. And I feel like to win in that. I mean, obviously most of these teams they air it out and all that, but a lot of these national championship runs is guys that are able to run the football. Like when you guys played Ohio State in Big Ten championship, Zeke was obviously Cordell did his thing, but Zeke was on the ground with it. And last year Michigan they were on the ground with it. JJ McCarthy did his thing too, was efficient, didn't have to throw it 40 times a game. So if we can find a way to be balanced, man, I think it helps the quarterbacks, helps the O line, helps the running back, it helps everybody. You know what I'm saying? Just gotta chase that consistency though. That's what I want to see from these guys. Is be consistent. That's the hard part. You know what I mean? Consistency is the hardest part of being a football player. Anybody can make a play once. Anybody can make a play, probably twice. But to try to go out there and do it, 99 out of 100 is hard, right? So try to do that as much as possible. Do your job. Say don't try to do anybody else's. I mean, like I said, I'm excited for these guys, man. And next week can't get here soon enough. I mean, I don't know if you guys plan on going out there at all. I think I might be going out there to that game. So I might jump in the student section and try and get them going.
I want to answer some of these questions that I'm seeing. Like I seen, we talked about what maybe as a team what we could do to maybe, and I see somebody here put $11.99 to drink your sorrows away. So the beers are $12. I don't drink beer. I don't know how much a beer costs at a football game. Or if it's $12 a lot, I'm assuming it is, right? Because
everything's expensive at it. No, I mean everything is expensive at concessions at every sporting event. Like that doesn't matter. Like that's $12. It's like yeah, maybe like
so,
a tick up, but
but
you
twelve
Is
know,
it?
dollars
it ain't cheap.
away. I mean, I don't think that's. I don't know if that's. And it's so crazy. It's I know that they thought that maybe getting allowing beer into the stadiums or alcoholic beverages was gonna like. Nah, I think. And I don't know, James, if you could tell me, was that an issue when you guys played Ohio State that year? I'm sure it was packed, right from the
Yeah, night
start.
game. Yeah, if night game, they'll pile in there for a night game. It's at 11 a.m. That's tough.
Come on, y'all.
They not getting up at. I mean, maybe they are. I don't know what time they get up for these games for 11 a.m. They got to get they pregame routine in, man. Got to get as lit as possible before they step in there. Which hey, it makes them be rowdy, but like I don't know how you incentivize a college student to show up there by 11 a.m. I'm not sure. I mean, whether it's money, I don't know. First a couple 10,000 kids get $100 something. Incentivize these kids, you know what I mean? Yeah, try and pile them in there.
Give him a special T-shirt. I don't know. Give him a Ron Dane T-shirt. Give him a James White T-shirt.
Yes, yeah, give them some jerseys or
Who's the
something.
captain? Give him
Yeah.
a jersey of the captain. I mean, there's things you could do. I don't know if $12 is a lot. It depends on, I guess, the ounces. But
Very true.
sorry, Sojourn. I am an experienced beer drinker. But to me, if you're not drinking enough before the game, you don't need to drink. I don't need to drink anything during the game. I just want to watch it. I don't need to go buy $12 beers. When pretty much all the other beers are like $4. But listen, I am super excited for our team. I think we are so close. It seems like on every play, like we're like 9-10 guys are on the same page and one or two are not. And once we get 11 guys, it's adding up. It's too late for me. Once we get 11 dudes on the same page and they feel confident, then they're gonna go and be the freaking Patriots of the last 20 years, like just dominate every year. I feel like I feel like we're close. Yes, maybe I'm a little more optimistic, but I don't think we're that far away. Could we be competitive with Alabama next week? I think we can, but you got to bring the juice. If you're going to be lackadaisical like we are against South Dakota for 3 quarters or 2.5 quarters, they're going to take advantage of that. So that's all I'm going to say. Like we got to go out there and just throw punches all day and see what happens. And hopefully the student section comes in their bananas.
Yeah, man.
And then we got a chance.
Don't hold anything back. That's what I say. Let it fly.
Yeah, I'm like, and I don't want to say we're too far off, but I will say I think we got a lot we got a lot of soul searching and identity finding before we can really start to feel back comfortable, and I don't think that's not necessarily a coaching thing. That's it's a lot of things that's
Yeah.
formed into that. I'm seeing a lot of fans saying maybe it's and I'll be the one to say I've said it too. Like maybe it's a creativity thing as far as our OC and stuff. Like I just think we got to figure out a lot of stuff, and not to throw off the Bama game, right? Like we're gonna play next week. We're gonna see how that's gonna go. But I'm thinking as far as Big Ten play, when stuff really is like the goal is to get to the playoffs, but the first goal is to win your conference and get to to get to Indy and play in that Big Ten championship. So when we start seeing those teams where those games are going to matter, when we're going to start facing Minnesota's, the Oregons, we're going to get their best. We're going to get their best shot every single time. That's when I want us to be firing all cylinders, and we still got some weeks to that, but this is these games are where we're supposed to be building that confidence, and it just seems like what I'm saying. And I know as a player, you hear the noise too, right?
Yeah, you can
Like
sense it.
those guys in that locker room, they sense that noise, they feel it because they know what it's supposed to look like. They know what it's supposed to feel when you play, South Dakotas or you play, Western Michigan. You're supposed to go out there and dominate. And not saying that we haven't been, having bright spots in certain areas, but we're still lacking in a lot of areas. So I like you said, I want us to get back to be playing confident and playing with that juice. But I think, man, we gotta fix a lot of this stuff, man, ASAP.
But but that's why I think this is a great opportunity, man. Like I said, you can no longer dip your toe in the water. You got to dive in that water this week. You know what I'm saying? So ain't no feeling the game out. We have a lot of challenges. Like we think, like a lot of people are assuming they kind of know, what the Badgers are right now. Next week we gonna really find out. You know what I'm saying? So whether the offense goes out there has a heck of a day next week or they go stink it up, then you will really get a real glimpse of what the offense and defense, special teams, all that looks like against a very good football team. So won't be any more questions. After next week, it'll be kind of third game against a very good opponent. But, all right, well, now it's time to kind of get back to the drawing board, self scout, and figure out what we need to get better at. Figure out the things we do well and figure out the things we don't do well.
So before we get out of here, I do want to know one other thing outside of Badgerland, and it's NIU and Coach Hammock taking down Notre Dame because James, you've been doing a little bit of work with that program too.
Yes,
You've
sir.
been spending a little bit of time up in DeKalb, and just like how great of an upset was that, and B, like how does that sort of like feel for you? I mean, obviously being very close to Coach
Yeah,
Hammock, and then just seeing sort of where they are, because I got emotional watching his
yeah,
post
man.
game.
Yeah, man. Shout out to my guys, NIU, them Huskies, man, them dogs, man. Took them to the boneyard, man. Took them to the shed. But, I mean, that's just what it's all about. Shout out to Coach Hammock. He coaches those kids hard. He's been able to retain a lot of those players. They have a veteran group, a lot of seniors, guys that have been there 4 or 5, 6 years. So they've seen some ups, they've seen some downs, and they're taking onus, on this year. Had a good camp. Been having a good work, good practice throughout the week, and going out there executing during the game. And that's kind of like what it is. Nobody expected them to go out there and win against, Notre Dame, but we expected it. Like we had a great week of practice. We knew what type of game we had to play. We know our identity, offensively, defensively, and we stuck to it. Ran the football. Wasn't pretty all throwing the ball around the field, but played good special teams, created some turnovers, and took advantage of your opportunities. I think that's just what it's all about. I said it on Twitter. I said you don't necessarily call it an upset if you expect to win, and those guys expected to win. You know what I'm saying? Notre Dame, they have talent, all that. Some of these first round picks, top recruits. None of that stuff really matters. It's all about how you show up there, on that Saturday. They dipped their toe in the water. Their coach last week said he didn't know who they played this week. Well, he found out. You ain't gonna say that again this week. So definitely proud of those guys, man. Like I said, they worked hard, and like I said, got a bye week next week, so they get to enjoy this one for a couple weeks, but got to get back to it. You know what I'm saying? It's just one game. You know what I mean? Got a lot more football left to play, and the same way you attack, Notre Dame, you got to attack. They have like NC State coming up too, or some max schedule games coming up. Got to attack them the same way. Got to be just as hype, just as intense, just as detailed. That's what it's all. Tired of Coach Hammett though, man. Uh, Extremely happy for him, man. I know what type of coach he is, what type of person he is. You guys got to see, the emotion for him after the game. He kind of fell to his knees after hearing that, that final whistle, man. Like I said, you pour into these kids, and then they go out there and execute. You win a big football game that, like I said, we expected to win, but maybe nobody else did. And you go out there and do it. There's no better feeling than going back in that locker room. You know what I mean? Getting a big victory on the road too. Silence in the crowd. Their home opener, and it's tough for a number 5 team in the country. Yeah, shout out to the Huskies, man.
It's crazy too because we talking about a team that, and I'd be honest, like going into the season, I was saying, you know what I'm saying? Like I was thinking that they were going to be one of those teams that maybe get a bye. Like, so for him to go into that type of environment and win that type of game, I saw his speech afterwards in the locker room. James, you tweeted it, and you know what I'm saying? Excuse my language, but that shit made me want to, you know what I'm saying, strap a helmet on and just go out there. And that's the type of coach that you want to play for. I think that, the word, the quote that he used was, he told them during the week, they weren't going to need no luck. And that just kind of just falls back on what James was saying. When you expect to win those type of games and you put that preparation into it, those are the results that you get out. And especially if you know your identity and you know the type of ball that you guys are going to play. We got to be able to run the ball. You know that, the backs is a strong suit. Causing turnovers, playing solid special teams. When you go out and you have a complete game and you put it all together, I think that's the dopest part about it, right? Like all that work you put in and week out, for you to go into the biggest stage, probably the biggest, stage that they'll play on as far as regular season wise, right? Like as far as the teams that they're gonna play, and you go out there and you handle all three phases of the game. It gets no better than that. But I will say this: we had Coach Hammock on, the Money Down, our podcast earlier this year, and like James said, just him being able to pour into the kids, right, and get them onto and to understand his vision and how he sees them. It kind of just it was dope to see him go out there and win that. And I know he shed some tears after the game, but it was just extremely satisfying, and I'm proud of what he's been able to do for that team, just because the work that he's put in from the time that he's been there.
There's nothing like having a coach who truly believes before a big game, huge game, that they're going to win and you guys are going to be prepped, and all the coaches, but like everyone jumps into that ship, and that confidence, even if you're not the better team out there, even if you're 10 rungs down from the better team, you can still do it. That's why we play the game, right? That's the any given Sunday, like every inch. That I want to take that energy. I want Hammock to come give our guys a talk against Alabama and say, guys, you could do this. Because why not? If NIU could do it, dude, you guys could do it. Like everyone can do it. This is why we play the game. It doesn't matter who they are. And listen, you guys got recruited too. Dude, Coach Alvarez used to be like, do not get fooled by Penn State's cool-looking shoulder pads that make them look so much bigger than they are. These dudes literally aren't giants. They are exactly guys like you who got recruited to play at a Big Ten school. And I'm excited. And if you take some of these things, but to have Coach Hammock, when he showed up as a GA, I think when I was either a junior or senior, just the energy he had. Like he loved ball. He loved it. He loved the guys. He wasn't scared to jump in and start coaching. Even me. I was like, dude, who are you? You just showed up here. You're coaching a fullback up. I'm like, I don't even know you played running back. I love that for him. I'm so happy for him in the program, and just to see him out there, just excited is so cool. But that can trickle to every program.
Yeah, man. And that, before we go on, and that's what I love about Coach Hammond. He gonna find out if you love football, and and that's why you play the game. You gotta love it. You know what I'm saying? So you gonna find out whether it's in the meet rooms, the practice field. He gonna figure it out. And if you don't fit, then hey, try again somewhere else. You know what I mean? But yeah, he's a great football coach. Pours into the players. He wants you to love the game. Wants you to prepare well. Gonna take care of you. Like I say, he takes care of his players too. He gonna push you. He gonna take care of you. But then the results got to show on Saturday. But shout out to my guy, huge win. Go Huskies. Go keep it going, man.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, I think that is going to be where we wrap it up today. Shout out to everyone who joined us here for your comments. We appreciate it. Make sure you are subscribed to Believe in Badgers and The Money Down, YouTube, wherever you get podcasts in both places. Shout out to Believe and Chris Hanasetti and Oak Ridge Wealth Management. And this is fun, and we're going to keep doing it. It's fun. So we appreciate everyone tuning in to Believe in Badgers and The Money Down. And until next time, on Wisconsin.
Let's go. Big one next week. Let's go.
Yeah.